All right, good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're now in Rapides Parish, DC 3. It's 9:26 a.m. on Wednesday, January 15, 2025. Is there any staff there in the room with you, Mr. LaBeouf?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
We'd
ma'am.
like to have-
Sergeant Marsh.
I'm sorry. Could you
Sergeant
repeat?
Marsh.
Sergeant Morris, thanks for accommodating us this morning. Mr. LaBeouf, would you introduce yourself for the record? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Tony Joseph LaBeouf, DOC number 588140.
All right, sir. And we have a parole officer, Carly Landry, who's here with us this morning. We're going to hear in just a moment from her. First, you're here for a revocation decision, Mr. LaBeouf. Do you have your parole revocation questionnaire there with you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and so let me get it. I noticed you were not eligible for appointed counsel based on the information contained in that revocation questionnaire, but there was a notation that you suffer from depression and have suicidal tendencies.
I haven't had suicide tendencies in years, but every once in a while I get a little light depression when I think about my past dealing with my wife.
Yeah. Are you under any mental health care by
No,
a professional?
ma'am. No, ma'am. I was at the beginning of my situation with my wife, but I eventually came out of the depression stage and I no longer take medication for it.
When's the last time you saw a professional?
Oh, about 4 years ago.
So are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, ma'am, I surely am.
So I'll read the allegation against you, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then you can tell us about it. Whatever your plea is, you can tell us an explanation, and then we'll hear from the probation and parole officer.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are accused of violating condition number 13, which is a special condition for sex offenders, which specifically Section 4, Part 1 of the sex offender contract states you're not allowed to use or access any social networking website. You fail to refrain from using social media as evidenced by your active Facebook account, which has new activity and evidence of social interaction with the public. How do you plead to violating condition number 13?
I plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay, well, tell us about it. What happened? We did get your letter. We saw your letter that you sent.
Yes, ma'am. It's really no excuse. You know, I got out and I'm away from family and friends because I didn't go home to the same environment. So all I was doing was trying to reach my stepmom and all of them to let them know I was out, which I realized was the wrong way of going about it. And it wound up making me backtrack and have to come back incarceration for something so simple. You know, I should have thought twice about how to reach out to my family instead of media.
Why didn't you use telephone?
I don't know their number. That's the thing. I don't have no phone numbers. I've been indigent most of my incarceration after I wound up catching these charges and getting locked up. So upon release, I used media to try to get Messenger to get in touch with my stepmom and all. And I created a Facebook. And it's wrong. I had no excuse what I did, and I'm truly sorry for that, and I'm paying for it now.
All right, and so, but you're familiar with the terms of your sex offender contract, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, that's not your instant offense was simple burglary. It's a prior sex offense. All right, let's hear from Carly Landry, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us about this situation?
So Tony was actually just released on good time parole on October 10th. I had began to supervise him, and he reported, and he was explained all of the conditions of parole and the conditions of his sex offender contract. He had reported to my office 8 days after being released, which would have been October 18th, at which time I did discover he had active social media account and was in contact with the public through that social media. And due to that being a violation of his parole, I executed the arrest. And then here we are today. I haven't had much time to get to know Mr. LaBeouf, as he was only out for 8 days. But that was his only violation that I had come to learn of.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your good work. Mr. LaBeouf, prior to your incarceration, I do see where you were, as she said, released October 10th. Before you went to jail on that occasion, did you have a Facebook account?
Talking about before I got arrested for my sex offense charges.
Before you got arrested and jailed for simple burglary of inhabited dwelling?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
What was your handle then? What was your name of that account?
My name, my account was Tony LaBeouf.
And what was the name of the account we're talking about today?
Modi LaBeouf.
Why did you change? Why is it that? Is that a
Well,
nickname for you?
Before I caught the simple burglaries, I was Tony LaBeouf. But when I got out from the simple burglaries, before I caught the sex offender charge, and I was Modi Odimon, which is my Modi is my nickname. Odimon is my mama's maiden name. So I just changed my name because I was trying to leave my old lifestyle away. So when I got out this time, I wasn't trying to hide it. I just used my old nickname and my real last name instead of Tony LaBeouf.
And you said you went to a different area when you released?
Yes, ma'am, Alexandra.
And where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Terrebonne Parish.
Homa, in the Homa
Yes,
area?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am, home.
And I do see, you have any relatives in Alexandria?
No, I got stepsisters that live in Alexandria. My dad and all them, they from towards Marchville way.
But you posted a picture, didn't you? Posted a picture on your new active Facebook account. You were watching football with a cousin or something?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was that?
That's my cousin Marlon Aken. He's at a sober living house. And we was coming back from church that night, and we just stopped and watched the game because the game was on. Got some chicken
All right.
at Wild Wings.
All right. I will defer to my colleagues. Any other, Mr. Byron?
Yeah. So basically, you're telling us you knew what you were doing was wrong and you chose to do it anyway, and you made a bad decision. That's basically what you're saying, and you're guilty.
Yes, sir. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat and lie to y'all. I should have never activated Facebook regardless of what I was trying to do.
How can we be assured that if we give you another chance, you're not going to go back to the same thing? You know, do you have your people's phone numbers and everything in place now?
Yes, sir, I do.
Back to the same situation.
Yes, sir, I do. And if I don't, I know now that I could probably get with Miss Carly and she would probably go out her way to help me find where I need to find it so I don't do this again.
Do you still have a job if you release?
Well, I'm not sure. I haven't been able to reach to nobody, but I do have my credentials, which I will go to Job Corps and do what I need to do to try to get a job, like I was doing when I was out last time. I was looking for a job and I found a construction job, but I didn't have a chance to start because the day that I went get my clothes and my tools and all, I wound up getting reincarcerated for this incident. But I do work, and then I will find a job immediately. Besides registering, the job is a second priority.
Where are you planning on living if we would let you out again?
The same residence in Alexandria. I talked to the landlord, and I do have the money for the rent, and everything's established. If I do make parole again, and I just try again, I'll just stay away from medium.
And you do realize, being a prior sex offender case, some of these conditions roll over to you even on this burglary case, and they all considered important. Maybe you don't think they are, but probation and parole thinks they're very important, and so does the law.
Yes, sir.
You understand that, you know, you're not free of all the sex offender conditions yet. And I don't know, I'm not sure if there's anything regarding registration or notification in this, but whatever there is that the probation officer tells you to do, it needs to be done, and without hesitation. You agree to do all of that?
Yes, sir, I really do.
All right, that's the only questions I have.
Questions, Ms. Ledoux?
Yeah, I'd like to ask about your previous supervision periods. How many times have you been on supervision for after being released?
Oh, you're talking about parole, ma'am?
Yes.
I was on parole. The last time I got out, I stayed out a year and a half. I was in full compliance. Whenever I got moved from Alexandria to Terrebonne. I got proper transfer from probation and parole until I caught my sex offense charge right after my wife passed. And when I got arrested, I was in full compliance all the way through. This time, I went register. I tried to be in full compliance. I just made a mistake and try to activate Facebook for wrong reasons. I could have thought a little bit more better and more professionally dealing with my freedom. And that's pretty much it, ma'am.
You have a clear understanding, at least, of the system. I mean, you're a third-class offender, so
Yes, ma'am.
first time. So what kind of tools are you going to use to comply this time? What kind of support system do you have?
Well, I have my stepmom and father, which is a support system for as mentally, not financially. I've been in a convoy wreck upon my incarceration, dealing with my sex offender charges, and I settled out on a lawsuit. So I do have money to get a vehicle and, continue, make sure I have a place and paid for to where I'm not running the streets and not registering properly under what residence I'm staying on. So I do have that on my side as benefit. I can't say I'm gonna do it or not do it because everybody says that. I had no intentions on coming back, and if I do get out, I'm definitely not gonna try to do anything to jeopardize it again, especially not media. I got out. I know I was only out 8 days, but I had no intentions. I didn't do no drugs. I didn't run the streets. I was in full compliance. I went register. I tried to do everything properly, but this is my first time dealing with a sex offense, being free, and I wasn't real understanding of how serious it was with dealing with this media, because it's my first time dealing with this media, and I realize it's very serious dealing with my freedom, dealing with this type of charge.
Right. I think, is anything else you'd like to say to us before we vote?
No, ma'am. It's in y'all hands, and I pray that I don't get violated today, and I'm able to go home and try this one more time and have my freedom.
Yeah, tell me again, I missed it. What type of work do you say you work? What type of work? What's your job skills?
I've been doing construction my whole life. I worked offshore on tugboats, but I recently just received 2 certifications in fiber optic technician, and also I completed a welding program, which I was looking in the avenue of going and weld.
Okay. All right. I'm prepared to vote, Mr. LaBeouf. I'm concerned. I know that the terms of the sex offender contract were explained to you. As Mr. Byra said, you did it. You did the social media. You knew you weren't supposed to, but you did it anyway. Although that's your only violation, you weren't out very long. Ms. Landry seems willing to help you do what you got to do. My vote today is going to be do not revoke. I'm going to add some special conditions, even though it's already in place. I'm going to state it on your certificate that you must follow the sex offender contract. I would like to see you go ahead and get a mental health evaluation. And should they determine any treatment is necessary, you're to comply with any treatment plan, and that could include medication, perhaps. And then once you obtain employment, or to maintain full-time employment.
Yes, ma'am.
That's my vote. Mrs. Ledoux?
Mr. LaBeouf, I think that the transition period from incarceration to the streets is a very difficult one, and I'm very pleased we have people like Ms. Landry and our probation and parole officers who seek to help you with that. You have to understand they're not your adversary. They're to be there for a mentor, if you will. So my vote is also going to be to not revoke, but I want to make note that you need to submit to review of social media on your phone and stuff to your parole officer. I think that you need to be cognizant that you have to show them your phone upon every time that they interact with you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to vote the same with my colleagues for the same reasons. And I just want to thank Ms. Landry for coming and help us make our decision. Thank you very much. It's always nice when we have a probation officer here.
All right, Mr. LaBeouf, you get another shot at it. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you, Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
Lane.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
That concludes our business in Rapid, Sergeant Morris. So we're going to close out. It is 9:42.
Thank you, ma'am.